Okay, so the next film that we're looking at is Final Cut. I'll give you a brief synopsis. Things go badly for a small film crew shooting a low-budget zombie movie when they are attacked by real zombies. What did you think, Jack?
Well, the start of the movie is very in your face, and I thought, oh, are we really going to get this? And I will admit, for the first few moments, I was genuinely concerned that we were going to watch something that was a bit naff.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil too much because it's so clever. And I think that if anyone was to watch it, I don't want to say anything about it really. But the first 30 minutes of this movie is something quite special and rubbish.
They're quite hard work, aren't they?
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
We watched this film with your mum.
Yes.
She was about ready to walk out of the room when this was on.
Yeah.
So it is deliberately hard work.
Yes.
It's very reminiscent of some of the early Italian zombie films that moved over to an American audience where they redubbed it. This is French.
Yes.
Which is actually quite a nice difference, to be honest with you, for this type of film.
Yes.
Zombie horror comedies. We've not had too many of them.
I mean, the only one I can really give notice of is the iconic one from Britain itself, Shaun of the Dead. There's been some rip-offs of Shaun of the Dead, and there's been some other spins on it as well in other countries, but it hasn't really worked as well, I thought. Because, again, with British humour, it's very specific for British people. I've seen the odd American viewer say that they really enjoyed it. But other than that, I've not really seen anything that's quite as funny in the zombie horror genre. But I've got to say, this one was quite clever in the way in which it went about itself, because I genuinely thought we were going to have a rubbish movie, and it wanted you to think that, which is just brilliant.
I think it's the kind of movie where, because of the nature of it, because of the way they've shot it and the reasons they've chosen for doing it, especially in those early stages of the film, and because this is also a cinema release as well, just make sure, especially if you're listening to this, just make sure that you don't walk out after 20 minutes, because it's probably going to want to make you do that. It's deliberately done a certain way to make you feel like, what the hell is going on here? But you are very much rewarded by what happens beyond that point. The acting, and you'll be surprised, but the acting is actually really good and really clever.
Yes.
Throughout this, despite what you're led to believe. There's some brilliant nods to the kind of work that you're expected to see from those zombie movies of the 70s and 80s. They do know what their audience is.
Yes.
And there's quite a lot of meta references throughout this piece. Again, because we have a no spoiler policy on this podcast, we can't deliver too much on that. But needless to say, you are surprised by what it puts in.
Yes.
I especially like the way that it breaks down a lot of the elements and subverts what you're expecting to see.
Yes.
I thought the direction from Michel Hazanavicius.
We've probably done a bit of a butchering, but we'll just say apologies in advance for more translations.
It's clever. It's a really sort of good pseudo direction that you're seeing.
Nice,
because you're watching this through another director on screen, and he's the one that's really enabling the narrative. And you do get this wonderful breakdown of the events.
Yes.
That's very cleverly told. And what's quite nice, there's a few Romero references.
Oh, plenty.
Anti-capitalist stuff, that kind of stuff that you expect to see in one of those Day of the Dead type films. But this does it differently, doesn't it?
Oh, it spins it on its head massively.
I liked virtually everything about this film. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's a classic.
It's certainly clever, and I think because of how clever it is, I really enjoyed it. It's not obnoxious clever either. It's not to the point where, yes, I'm the smartest person in the room, look what I can do. It's very much we'll guide you through this, we've got an idea, we want you to see this idea, and we want you to understand how it plays out. And we had fun doing this.
Yes.
Because you can feel the way in which this was filmed, that this was a lot of fun to do. And I think that translates. And I really enjoyed even the worst parts of this movie because it was intentional. And that was something that I just was blown away by, because I thought in the first 30 minutes we all looked at each other as if, what is this going on? This is a mess. But the best parts about it was only halfway through this 30-minute sequence that we realised, hang on, this is actually a long take. This is a seamless cut almost, where nothing's really been cut. Well, it looks like nothing's been cut, but there are probably aspects where it's been hidden in this particular setting and scene. Although in saying that, I can't think of when it happened. Maybe whip pans, when the camera quickly swooshes around, maybe there was a hidden cut.
You're led to believe that this is not quite as clever as what we're actually seeing.
Oh, yeah.
And that I think is the beauty of this film. It really does. It just subverts what you're expecting from it. And again, once you get beyond that sort of 20, 30-minute grace point, then all of a sudden this film really takes on a life of its own.
I've got to say, I've seen a few comedy pieces in my time, and I'm going to be honest with you, recent comedy shows or movies, I've had a few laughs, but then not much. It tends to be when I go back to older movies that I enjoy those jokes more. Some are dated, but within the context of what realms they are, yes, they work. Nowadays, I find myself doing a bit of a giggle, but then moving on very quickly. I felt this movie just felt classic again. It had its own ideas, and whilst it was funny and had elements to it that were very clever, it had heart, and I really enjoyed that. There was a purpose behind what was being shown on screen, and it wasn't just done, willy-nilly, just let's do this, let's do that. There was meticulous choices and particular things that they did that were really fascinating, and I actually enjoyed what is supposed to be actually a very simple movie. But if you think about it, there's so many little elements and nice details that go into this, where you realise just how clever this movie is, and actually it's a good bit of film.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a thank you to the directors of old for the work that they did setting up this genre, and kind of nodding to that and doing this variation of it.
Yeah.
The actual film that we're talking about, the Z or Z or whatever you call it, it reminded me a bit of the feature that they were directing in the series Lock and Key, because of its lowbrow nature.
Yes, which even then referenced Romero and classic Hammer horror movies as well.
Yeah, and also the level of special effects concerned. It's a real joy, really, in places.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the scoring of it, which, again,
so clever.
You saw some of that on screen as well as off screen, and that was really cleverly put together. I think you had a likeable bunch of actors, or actors that were deliberately in their role, in character, as annoying.
Yes.
But you understand the why of how you get to that point.
Which, again, delivers incredibly well.
There's a couple of gross out moments, which are fairly.
Yeah, maybe don't eat your lunch while watching this.
Yeah, although you did KFC, didn't you?
Well, can't say no to a KFC, but I certainly can when I see something like that on screen. But
and they're not endorsing this, by the way.
No. Although I wouldn't mind.
Yes, I'm sure you wouldn't. But I thought this was an absolute little cracker. And I would urge anybody, if you get the opportunity to go and see this at the cinema, please do check it out. Please keep your bum firmly on that seat all the way through this film, especially until after the credits have rolled, because there is an after credit sequence to this that's actually really clever again.
Yes.
And I just think this is one for your collection afterwards as well.
I have to agree. It's absolutely brilliant.